all alive.
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop.
Good day. I am Denise DePina Reed, co-host of At the Round Table with Mamleo, a Massachusetts Association Minority Law Enforcement Officers Incorporated broadcast. And we greatly appreciate our sponsors, John B. Cruz Construction Company, 1 John Elliott Square, Roxbury, Massachusetts, third-generation family-owned, founded in 1948, to provide superior customer service and a quality product for its clients and tenants. Everyone's going green, and you should too. That's the law offices of Donald E. Green, located in the heart of Roxbury at 2235 Washington Street in Dudley Square, soon to be called Nubian Square, 617-442-0050, and also 500 North Main Street, Unit B, Randolph, Massachusetts, 02386. Last but not least, our newest sponsor, Residential Mortgages Services, will guide you home. 91 Franklin Street, Boston, Massachusetts, 02110. Contact Senior Loan Officer Cora Holbrook at 781-664-6200. That's Cora.Holbrook at rmsmortgage.com. Without their sponsorship, this broadcast would not be possible. Thank you and have a great day. Well, good morning. This is WBPG LP 102.9 at the Round Table with Mamleo, a Massachusetts Association Law Enforcement Officers Incorporated broadcast. It is Saturday, April 13th. I am your host, Denise DePina Reed, with my co-host, Dr. Willie Bradley, and Jeff Durham. Good morning, everyone, if he'll sit down.
Good morning, Boston. And good morning to everyone out there in Facebook and Audio Now and 102.9 FM.
Well, let me just take a moment to catch my breath because I've been, you get to a certain age, you start losing it. I forgot my phone, left it in the car, I had to run out and get my phone. But it is what it is. God is good. He gave us this
all
day.
The time.
I'm going to live it in His honor. So it's nice to be here, same place, same time every week.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
1 minute I see you, the next minute you're
like,
gone.
Who is that guy?
Where is he? You want to let folks know how they can get in touch with us?
Actually, see, I'm still trying to get myself together. Again, you're listening to At the Round Table with Mamleo here on BostonPraceRadio.tv. If you should want a seat at the table, because we have a lot to discuss this morning, you can dial 617-282-0685 or 617-282-7794. or 617-265-2679. If you choose just to listen to the show, you can dial into Audio Now by calling 712-770-7534. That's 712-770-7534. And I want to take this opportunity to personally welcome Jeff Durham back on the set.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, and I'm glad to be back. And thank you for everyone who's kept me in their prayers and my family. For those who haven't known, I've been away on a little hiatus for the past 4 months, taking on a new role of taking care of my mom's. And so she's taken care of me all these years, and it's my honor and pleasure
take care of her back.
To take care of her. So again, I want to thank everyone who's prayed for my mom over the past couple of years, and she's watching this broadcast right now. So hi, Mom. And again, thank you again.
Welcome back, my friends. It's good to see you. And I tell you, as an individual who was in that position a few years ago, I was blessed. I have been blessed with a lot of siblings, and I had not all of them, but enough of us. Out of 10, half of us came together to say, okay, this is how we're going to do this. We're going to make sure that Mom's taken care of. We're going to make sure that we rotate this because it's not too much of stress on either one of us, and it worked beautifully. And I'm sure that, it's one thing to have someone else do it, but when your mom has her child taking care of her, it's a whole different level.
That's right.
I've been there and I have done that, and God was very good to me and my family.
I want to also extend a special thank you to Pastor Hobbs. Those who don't know, he does a weekly broadcast, and definitely tune into his Facebook page. And it's been a joy to sit down and just hear the gospel on Pastor Hobb and Boston Praise Radio. And my mom and I have been able to watch the shows over the past 4 months, and she looks forward to every time I turn on the iPad and watching the broadcast. So those broadcasters who are on this microphone on a daily and weekly basis know that we are listening and we're watching too. So what a powerful station this is, and a mighty God we serve.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be shame in my game. But yeah, last night I was very, very impressed.
What?
Last night, my daughter, my oldest daughter, not my oldest child. I have a son who's older than she is, but I have my oldest daughter broadcast her show for the first time. Her very first broadcast was right here on this set, where she talked about the Lord's Prayer and how she broke it down beautifully. And I sat back there as a proud father who was peacocking.
You didn't tell nobody?
I didn't know.
Oh.
Until Pastor Hobbs called me, Pastor Wall sent me a text to say, your daughter's on the radio. And I jumped up and I got on my computer, and there she was. And I was like, oh my God, she broke that down so beautifully. And I'm sitting there like a peacocking, just like, my wife was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, look at this. I had something to do with this. I was so proud of that child.
And that's a good point,
Yeah.
Dr. Bradley. On another note, we get a lot of views on this show, and I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of views on a weekly basis. And if you live in the Boston area or in the immediate area, I know, Dr. Bradley, for you live out in Brockton,
Randolph, yeah.
and if you're interested on broadcasting here on Boston Praise Radio and TV, please take the time and reach out to the station manager. Her name's Renee.
And she wise.
And yes, that's her last name. So Renee Wise, you can call directly here at the station at 617-282-0685, and that's 617-282-0685. Even if you want to do your own podcast, it doesn't necessarily mean that you want to do something on the FM dial. You may want to just take it with you, or send it along to someone in another country. So Renee Wise, she's the station manager here at Boston Praise Radio and the point of contact to whom you should reach out to. But on another note, let's bring in Pastor Hobbs and a moment of prayer and giving God the praise this morning.
Pastor Hobbs, would you do us the honors?
Father God, we do bless you. We honor you. We give you praise. We give you glory. We thank you for your mercy, God, for your grace, for being all powerful, for being all knowing, and a very present help in the time. And God, we're grateful for this day that you've made, and we will rejoice. We'll be glad in it. God, we thank you for this opportunity to be on the airways, and we ask you just to bless this broadcast. Father, bless everybody who tuned in. Bless all that's said and done and all that happens in and through and even after the broadcast and it's recorded today. We'll be careful to give you the praise, careful to give you the glory, careful to give you the honor. God, and we count these things as done in the matchless name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
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 Well, before we get started, I just want to convey one message to Jeff. I was told by a very important person in my life to please tell you that you are in her prayers, because what you're doing could be difficult from time to time, but just know that when God is present, everything will be okay.
Right.
So
I appreciate those prayers.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do the weekly updates. These are the things that are going on in and around the city, and please take note, and some of them I will repeat from time to time before they happened. The Lancet Project presents a Night of Excellence Saturday, that's today, April 13th, from 7 to 12 a.m. at the Hampton Inn and Suites, Boston Stoughton, 449 Page Street in Stoughton, Mass. Tickets are available through Eventbrite. The Lancet Project, TLP, is a non-profit organization dedicated to the advancement of education in underdeveloped countries. In September 2018, they traveled to Haiti and supplied 500 students with backpacks full of school supplies. This year, they hope to do the same. Join the Nation of Islam. That's Saturday, April 13th, today at 12 noon. Grove Hall at the corner of Blue Hill Ave and Washington Street. They are looking for 10,000 peacekeepers of Boston, black men, to stand up and make our community safe and decent for women and children. This is a roll call to action in the name of Mrs. Eleanor Maloney. Long live the spirit of the Million Man March. Will you be there? And if you're not sure who Eleanor Maloney is, she's the grandmother that was murdered a couple of weeks ago in Mattapan. So that's a roll call to action in the name of Mrs. Eleanor Maloney. They will be meeting at the corner of Blue Hill Ave and Washington Street this afternoon at 12 noon. If you're free, go stand out and be counted. Muslim Day Lobby. That's Tuesday, April 16th at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's at the Massachusetts State House, 24 Beacon Street, Boston, Mass. Tickets available through www.carma, that's CARMA.org. Please register at www.cairma.org/Muslim Lobby Day. We are proud to invite families all across Massachusetts to join us for our annual Muslim Lobby Day at Beacon Hill. They will be promoting their civil rights legislative agenda. The Letter from Birmingham Jail, a public reading at Boston City Hall, Tuesday, April 16th, 4 to 7 p.m., Boston City Hall Plaza, 1 City Hall Square, Boston, Mass. Dr. King's letter will be read as more than 30 Boston area nonprofit organizations, businesses, activists, educators, youth, elderly convene as a way to become maladjusted to discrimination and racial inequality in Boston. Campaign kickoff, Lee Nave Jr., Boston City Council, District 9, Tuesday, April 23rd, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the White Horse Tavern, 116 Brighton Ave, Alston. Tickets are available through secure.actblue.com. Please join your neighbors, family, and friends in launching the campaign for Boston City Council, Lee Nave Jr. Career Fair. That's Thursday, April 25th, 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. Roxbury Community College and Fenway CDC Career Fair. Tickets available through Eventbrite but are free. Get your resume ready because the career fair is back. Are you looking for a job or internship? Are you graduating soon? Excited about launching a new career? Please join us for the Roxbury Community College and Fenway CDC Career Fair, where you will have an opportunity to meet and learn about new career opportunities. Dangerous Patent 27th Boston Annual Peace Conference. That's Saturday, April 27th, 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. Robert J. Orchard Stage, Paramount Center, 559 Washington Street, Boston, Mass. Tickets are available through emersontheaters.org. The Center for Teen Empowerment invites you to a dangerous patent. Through the original stage productions, music, dance, spoken word, and testimonies, Teen Empowerment youth organizers will explore a myriad of issues specific to racism in Boston, including violence, trauma, etc. Save the date. Lawyers for Civil Rights, LCR, will host a small business legal clinic. That's Thursday, May 2nd, 6 p.m., Morgan Lewis, 1 Federal Street, Boston, Mass. This is free, but you must register at http://bit.ly/May 2nd Legal Clinic. You may also contact EJP@lawyersforcivilrights.org with any questions. Save the date. Bethel Baptist Church Gospel Concert. That's Sunday, May 19th, 4 p.m. at the Russell Auditorium, 80 Talbot Avenue, Dorchester, Mass. Cost includes the dinner and 3 cash raffles. Concert includes Boston's own Spiritual Encouragers, Testimony, Family of Praise, the Jesus Gang, and more. Come on out and get your praise on and expect a blessing. Please be advised that while the Massachusetts Association of Minority Law Enforcement Officers does not endorse candidates, we will inform the community of forums and events that will allow the community to gain access and a better understanding of the candidates and his and her platform. Dr. Bradley? And while I'm at it, we have a candidate for City Council that will be on at 9 o'clock, Ricardo Aurora.
Good. We're always looking forward to talking to those individuals running for public office. It's important that they explain the platform and speak to the people before the vote. But again, you're listening to At the Round Table here with Ma'am Leo on BostonPraiseRadio.tv. If you want to see it at the table, I'm going to give you a couple of numbers you can call, 617-282-0685 or 617-282-7794 or 617-265-2679. If you do not want to hear your voice over the radio, you can just go into our Facebook Live page and put your comments into our chat room. We'll do the very best we can to put it over the air, or I'm here monitoring the BostonPraiseRadio.tv, all one word, BostonPraiseRadio.tv. And you go into the chat, you will see our lovely faces on the computer. Also, you can put your comments into the chat room, and we will do the very, very best we can to get it over the air. We're coming to you on WBPG 102.9 for the first 2 hours, and then we're going to take a quick break after that and switch platforms where we'll be running to coming to you solely on the internet on BostonPraiseRadio.tv, as well as our Facebook and Roku Television, Apple TV, and a whole other host of different types of platforms we're using. So thank you very much for your listening. We appreciate you. We're here every Saturday morning from 7 to 10. So thank you.
Someone is asking, Mass Bay Canna. Let's see. He said he missed the Nation of Islam event. Okay, it says join the Nation of Islam Saturday, April 13th. That's today at 12 noon. Grove Hall at the corner of Blue Hill Ave and Washington Street. They are looking for 10,000 peacekeepers of Boston, black men to stand up and make our community safe and decent for women and children. This is a roll call to action in the name of Mrs. Eleanor Maloney. Long live the spirit of the Million Man March. Will you be there?
Okay, so we have a lot to unpack this morning. You and I, Denise, we were exchanging emails or texts, I should say, about our DA here in Suffolk County. Well, your DA.
Yeah.
I had some comments about our criminal justice system and how I felt that she, in my opinion, she's doing the right thing. It's going to be difficult because people do not like change. And I think people need to be careful when folks are throwing out, well, she's letting people go and she's not holding them responsible. So I wanted to comment on that a little bit and talk, get into a discussion about that and share my thoughts around that area.
Well, I sent you the op piece by federal Judge Gertner, didn't I?
No, well, if it's on the Boston Globe, I'm not able to access that. So,
outside of Rachel Rollins and what she stated that she will do, don't you see this is a national trend?
Yeah, I do. That's
just looking at what came out of Chicago.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going.
District Attorney Fox and it's
Baltimore.
Yeah.
All those different counties
Marilyn
around.
Mosby. Any strong, independent black woman. Okay, Stacey Abrams. I mean, we could go down the list. That comes into power, she's immediately attacked.
We can even start here in Boston. Look at Charles Yancey.
Okay.
And other local officials. So
I think we can. I'm not quite sure how I want to say this, but I think we can't lose sight of what has been happening around us probably unbeknownst to a lot of folks, is that, is that our system of accountability for behavior and our system of government, in many respects, have been structured in such a way that it alienates, ostracizes, and marginalizes a demographic of people. That's what, and I think when someone sees it and walk in and trying to change it, i.e. Rachel, Mosley, folks of that nature, then the establishment pushes back, and I think that's what we're experiencing now. So when I start to look at what she's doing, and I say to myself, isn't the criminal justice system wasn't established to hold people accountable? It was not established to hold to be a ticket to oppression, a ticket to discrimination or alienation. It wasn't established for that, for a demographic of people. It was established to hold every person accountable for their behavior. And so looking back, 12, 13 years, on a behavior that someone has already served time for, and they happen to find themselves back into the system, I think that's what I call perpetual punishment, in my opinion. And I'm open for discussion on that. But I think we have our systems, our public policies have been structured in such a way that, and we call this systemic racism, by the way, that's really hurt people, certain people. And I think it's time to say stop, because we can't continue to finance ourselves out of bad policy. We can't continue to finance ourselves out of behavior, crime. We have to look at what actions do we take as a society to hold an individual responsible for their behavior, but then at the same time, once that individual has spent the time, has been incarcerated, how do we reintegrate that person back into society so that they become productive? Not a continuous, alienation of that individual, or ostracizing that person, putting that person back into the system. So my question becomes, who are we doing that for? Are we doing it for the betterment of society? Or are we doing it for the betterment of a particular group of people, or a particular company or corporation? Those are the kind of questions I ask myself.
Well, Gertner says in her piece, she says, Turco criticized Rawlings' decline to prosecute list, ignoring crucial details in her 65-page plan. A Suffolk prosecutor was obliged to decline or divert certain offenses unless he or she got permission from a more experienced supervisor. Turco ignored the unless clause. The list consists of nonviolent crimes involving drugs, property, and offenses, like driving with a suspended license, and it makes sense. Too often these offenses are driven by poverty, substance abuse, mental health issues, housing, or food insecurity, better dealt through provisionary programs and not punishment. Another focus of Turco's ire was the DA's admonition to look to relatively recent prior convictions within the previous 36 months in deciding how serious the current charge should be. Too often a prosecutor seeks a more severe sentence or charge based on an old conviction when the defendant was a young man, for example, ignoring what had been going on in his life in the interim. Turco also challenged the fact that the DA encouraged prosecutors to look not only to drug quantities in deciding whether to charge possession with intent to distribute drugs, but also to other evidence of substantial dealing. Too often the drug quantity focus meant throwing the book at the lookout sitting on a drug stash over which he has no meaningful responsibility and from which he derives no profit. In any case, these policies were presumptive, meaning an ADA could consult with a supervisor about whether to apply them in an individual case.
Well said.
Yeah.
But I also have something here from Larry, who says that we need to include Denise in the list of strong black women, as well as NAACP President Sullivan. All right, strong black sister. I got you.
Thank you.
I got you. So, I mean, we knew that they were going to come after her. And I just think that we need to
It's
support.
just a matter of time.
Yeah, we need to support her because I think what she's doing, in my opinion, I think what she's doing is correct. I think that we need to look at, diversionary programs, not everything going into the criminal justice system for adjudication and for correction, because based on what I read, the individual who authored that is saying to me, well, I'm not very comfortable with the correction system. Because correction system is supposed to be correcting. So therefore, when an individual comes out, I can assume that they did not do their job. And so that individual will re-engage in the criminal behavior. Then I can go look as far back as I choose to establish the crime for the next prosecution, for the current issue. I can factor in his or her behavior back in the past to determine exactly what I'm going to charge in the present. I just think I think it's wrong. I think what she's doing, from what I understand so far, is correct. I think we need to look at how do we move forward on these crimes differently than we have done in the past.
3 months into a 4-year term,
I-
and immediately this is the rebuttal that she gets versus people willing to work with her. We have to remain steadfast in all aspects of government. We have to galvanize and get around DA Rollins and reach out to our office if you have some time and ask ways on how you can support her in this issue. I know there have been rallies that's been given. One was done not too long ago in the Bruce Bowling building. If you want to change her philosophy on implementation, on beginning this change, and you want to go against her, run for office.
Well, let's not forget what was done to Beverly Scott, okay, when she was running the MBTA,
Right?
okay. So, I mean...
Chased out of town.
Just, and there hasn't been a woman in that position since. Every time the position comes up, they put a white male in it.
Just go to the superintendent, Carol Johnson, Boston Public Schools.
Yep.
Just
So,
see what happens. This is nothing new to us. This
Yeah.
is one repetitive cycle. When are we going to break this cycle?
this is Massachusetts.
Look at Kevin Peterson and the New Democracy Coalition on just getting a hearing. We just laid out a few. I'm sure others can lay out a lot more than what we can right now. And you can by calling 617-282-0685.
But if you don't like the composition of a government, then why we continue to support the people who are to continue to snub their nose at us when we complain about the lack of diversity in that, in our representation?
I think you're starting to see the banana peel come off at the polls. I think this past election cycle was huge, and we still continuously need to understand that there's an election cycle every year, and not every 2 or 4 year, and to cast that vote for that change. And I think we're and we're going to continue this awakening come September's primaries.
Well, I hope we do, because I keep going back there because I think I'm trying to make a point.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make a point that whenever we sit home or we decide that we're not going to participate, these are the things that happen. And then after the election and things start to unfold the way that we already know it's going to unfold, or they're going to unfold, we complain. So I'm saying, well, put your complaints, put your anger, put your frustration in action, and you do that at the poll. That's where I'm going. I think we have a call.
We have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, everyone. This is T. Michael Thomas. I had a comment.
Sure. Good morning, sir.
The DA, Rachel Rollins, has not even been in office for 1 year. There are many elected officials who's been in office. Why is this woman under such scrutiny and a microscope? Why?
Well, is that a rhetorical question, or you want me to answer? You want me to answer that? Because I can.
Well, it's a general question,
Yeah.
not for the team there at the station, but
Okay.
for the public.
Okay.
Why are they so targeting her? And she hasn't even served 1 year in office.
Well, I have to just put my 2 cents into this, T. Michael. And I'm pretty sure that D.A. Rollins anticipated this. She knew, and I knew, and we all around this table, we sat and we talked to her that she was, a newcomer.
That's right.
In the sense that she was different. There was a particular person that the heir apparent had already supported, already identified for that. There was a particular person among the candidates that people had already identified to be the next DA. That person did not come. That person did not win. And so now the forces are against Rachel because of the fact that she was never intended to be there. She was never, in my opinion, taken seriously until the very last moment she realized, oh my gosh, she can win this. And now you have the establishment coming after her. There's a reason why people are scrutinizing what she's doing, because she's not wanted in that position. That's just my opinion.
And one last comment. I hope the community, especially the community of color, but especially they will stand with her, work with her, because I know, speaking from People's Academy, we will be working with her to better stuff in our community. Thank you. Great show, and I will be listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the call, brother. I appreciate it.
Nice hearing from you, T. Michael Thomas. I think one way of that immediately that people can help out our district attorney is to take action within your community. Be alert of what's going on in your community. There's been a couple of shootings this past week here in the city of Boston. A couple too many. Those who have remained at the forefront on getting their community involved, I thank you. We thank you. Those who may have seen that shooting, may have occurred down the street or around the corner, and still have not said anything, you need to speak up and reach out to those people of authority. And the only way that we can bring change within our community and support Rachel is A, casting our vote on every election cycle, and B, be that community leader that want to bring amongst the change in your own backyard.
Well, in my opinion, Jeff, you got to be the change that you want.
That's right. You got to be that change agent.
You got to be it, because we can't stop. We have to stop thinking that someone else is going to do this for us. We got to do it for ourselves. And Larry just made a very good point. As it relates to D.A. Rollins, we hear about what she's doing, but when it comes down to what our president is doing and what he says, there's complete silence. The crickets. So we constantly identify this, double standard, if you will, but I think if we really want to change it, we have to actually understand, and we have to behave as we know that this particular government is for all of us, not just for some of us. We have been convinced throughout the years that participating in voting and participating in electoral process is a waste of time. And I'm telling you that no, if it was, they would not be so hard and trying so hard to convince you that it is a waste of time. So it is not a waste of time.
No, every election cycle, so even if it's a special election, it counts. It counts. And your voice counts. And for someone to ever tell you that your vote doesn't count, or these politicians have it for themselves and they don't want to bring the change that I want to see, well, that's just the devil lying to you.
Yeah.
And that's deceit, and it's wrong. You're of 18 years of age. Here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you can vote. If you have a record, you can vote. If you are a convicted felon, you can vote.
Well, but see, the thing is that keeping that under the wraps and keeping people uninformed, uneducated about that, it becomes easier to maintain control. This is all about, it just frustrates me. I sit here speaking, and I'm lost for my words, because when I think about this, I'm saying this is so This is so. I anticipated this. I anticipated that everything that she did, or she would do in office, it was going to be scrutinized. They're going to use every platform to put it out for the public, as if they're saying, see, this is why you should not have voted for her.
Right.
She's soft on crime, and that's not true.
And I know we have a caller, but we're going to I just want to warm you up to this. Stay tuned. Ayanna, Congress Ayanna Pressley, we got to put our guard around her because we know that how much she could be vocal at the forefront on issues that's involving our community and now the country. Just stay tuned. Caller, you're live on at the roundtable with Mamleo.
Jeff, it's great to hear your voice on the air. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate you, man. I miss you guys. Trust me.
Yeah, well, it's good to hear you there. Like I said, you're always part of the family, so good to hear you back there.
Thank you.
And I hope the family's well. I was listening to you guys, and you're right. You're going down the list, checking off. The Congresswoman Cortez, the Muslim woman. Now, I don't agree with what everybody says. But it's interesting that only certain people are allowed to say how they feel, right?
Yeah.
When Donald Trump says things like, he's sitting there talking about, he wants to ban certain people from this country as if he owned it, right? And I don't hear any outrage. And I've said Congressman King, some of the racially charged things that Congressman from New York, I believe it is, has said in the past and in the future, very similar to what other folks have said and others. There's this forgiveness and there's this sense of entitlement, right? Whether you agree with somebody or not. Last time I checked, this was America, and I know that's what's scaring some people, that America is changing and being more inclusive of the people that it represents, as it should be. And that's very threatening to people. And people don't wake up because, people say, well, he started with those people, but so didn't Hitler. He started with a segment of people, and he started coming after others. So, folks, be careful when you sit there. What's that expression? When they came for this group, nobody said anything. When they came for that one, and then they came for me, and no one was there. No one was left.
Well, yes, you're absolutely correct, Larry. I listened to this, and again, you were right on target. We hear about our president wanting to send people to sanctuary cities.
Right.
We hear about our president using the military, in my opinion, and I think I'm on target here, in wrong ways as it relates to protecting the border. The military under the law cannot operate, unless we're under attack in our homeland the way that they would do in the wartime theater. So he's doing things that are just blatantly wrong, and we all know it, but we hear nothing
wrong,
at
Dr.
all.
Bradley, but criminal.
Immoral.
That's why this, as bad as people thought she was, Nielsen there, the former Homeland
Security
there's a
Secretary.
point where she says, I'm not going to go to jail for you.
And he fired him. But you know what? Crickets.
Wouldn't you say Jeff Sessions said the same thing?
Yes.
Right.
Crickets. And Jeff Bodegaard Sessions, when he says this is wrong,
right,
I'm not going to jail for you, but yet crickets. And so when are we going to be a nation that holds everyone accountable and no one is above the law? Because we're certainly behaving as if our president is above the law. And I think it's
Absolutely.
wrong.
He's telling law enforcement, ICE, customs, and folks, right? Don't listen to what these judges say, right?
I'll pardon
you.
you.
These judges say. You just listen to what I say.
Some of the
those
things
folks
that
don't
just
have executive
mouth-dropping.
privilege that the president has, and like I said, last time I checked, it says no one is above the law.
If President Obama came out and said that, what would be the
my
reaction?
Well, but again, it goes right back to the poll. We'll see exactly, in a couple of months, in a few more months, exactly how the American people are going to respond to this. Like I always say to people, they're fighting so hard to make sure that you don't vote. But if our voting system, our voting system matters. If it did not, they will not be fighting so hard to make sure that you don't vote. And so we have to, and I have to go back to that point, Larry, because every time we sit here during the election year, we worry about the numbers, how many people are going to come out and vote. This is what happens when you don't.
Right.
I think it's important to emphasize that.
Right.
This is what happens when people do not
Well,
vote.
another point to that, what you're saying, Dr. Bradley, how many people have you spoken to, right, who this tax cut that was supposed to save them some money, right, and they're feeling the pain of having to write checks, right, when they didn't have to, and the deductions that the only people. I was watching the news last night. There was a millionaire. He was crying, saying, "Look, I have the money to give. I want to give more. This isn't, I didn't need this extra money." There was several. There's a millionaires group of men who were saying that they should be paying more.
But when you go to your tax accountant within the next couple of weeks, or the next few days, you should be going. You'll see who's actually paying the brunt of government. Because when my wife and I went, I was like, "Oh my God!" I thought, because you can't write anything off. It's all done.
This year was the first year I had to pay.
Yeah, well,
and normally I'm on the receiving end.
We've been paying for a while, but we had to pay more.
I did not have to pay, but I didn't get anything back, and that truly hurt me.
Well, you know what? Some of the accountants would say that's a preferred way is that you have, because if you're giving them money, you're giving them an interest-free loan. Trust me, and if you owe them, they're going to come after you. So ideally, you want to break even. That would make sense.
Right.
But that hasn't happened for my wife and I for a long time.
No, I was cringing. Trust me.
Well, it's tough, but
even if it's $1, I cringe.
But yet, the Republican, I'm not going to let the Republicans off here. They were pushing, well, this tax break is for everyone. No, it's not.
It was for the what did Mitt Romney? It's for the 1%.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, easily.
But even with that, what people hadn't paid attention to enough is that these little bit of tax cuts in your pay, weekly pay, it expires in 5 years now, and now it's only for 7 years. It expires in 5. The one for the millionaires is permanent.
Yes, the one for the
corporate
corporations,
permanent.
Permanent. Yes, unless we change. The structure of government, or not the structure, the representation, and who's controlling the House and who's controlling the Senate. Again, unless we vote for someone, or vote for someone who's going to look out for the people, as opposed to the 1%ers.
That's
exactly what's happening.
2020. But let's not look too far at 2020. We got an election coming up right here in 2019. So.
Yeah. But my thing is that, again, when we come across these situations where you feel like you're not being fairly represented, it goes right back to the to the voting poll.
Right.
Why are we struggling every cycle to get people out there to vote? And then we get people who are voting against their own interests, as you can see with the so-called tax breaker we're supposed to have.
You're right, Dr. Bradley. When you don't vote, you're voting against your own truth. Well, I didn't vote, so I didn't. No, when you don't vote, you're voting against your own.
Sorry.
I've done election coverage on election day at some of the polling locations. The day before, I've gotten the vote out, tried to get people to the election. I went as far as driving people to the polls. I'm going to continue this fight on making sure that the change that I want to see is made, and it starts with me.
You know how I feel about this driving people to the polls.
I know. Well, I know.
Okay, because we don't ever have to drive people to Foxwood. Okay, they somehow they make that bus never is not full. They make it there to Foxwood, but when it comes to the polls, they can't get there.
Well, soon they'll be making it to the Encore. I'm only joking.
They won't need a ride there neither.
No,
MBTA,
you're right.
Yeah, but she's right.
Or
She's
if somebody
right
is standing up for them, they won't even stand with them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And go down there. And the simplest thing, like I said, whether or not you agree, like people, I heard Jeff talking about with Kevin and trying to get a hint. Whether you agree with it or not, if this is a democracy, he has a right to be heard.
Yeah, right.
Whether you agree with the opinions of people, like I said, how many times those of us in law enforcement have had to stand there and listen to some of these neo-Nazis and these racists talking about people like us, but our job was to make sure that they had their right to express it. I didn't agree with any of that, but my job was to make sure that they had a right to say it.
How about the KKK coming into Boston and getting a
That's what I'm talking
permit, getting a permit right there on the Boston Commons in the Rotunda, and getting law enforcement out there, paid law enforcement that they didn't pay for, so that they can have their little activity for a few hours. And the fight that Kevin has gone through, not 1 year, but 2 years with the city government just to get a hearing,
But
it's
see,
ridiculous.
I sit back and say, while I do not support the KKK or any institution or any movement that would separate or be divisive among our people, but in a democracy, you have to respect the right to say it, unless it is something that's going to be inflammatory and incite riots and harm to other people. But I think, you know what? That's the democracy we have. I don't support it, but I support the right to say it. All right? I don't believe in it. You know, so I think it's hypocritical to us to say, you can't do this, but yet you have to do this. You know, I think we have to look at what democracy says. But at the same time, if we're going to adhere to the principles of democracy, we have to also challenge our leaders when our leaders are actually stepping outside of that construct, like Donald Trump, which is what we're talking about. So, no, I agree with Larry. I have been in situations as a former police officer where I'm protecting people who are talking against people that look a lot like me. Right. But my job is to make sure that they have the right to say it.
We got a couple.
It's not easy.
We got a couple of comments. Mass Bay Canada says white supremacy allows for the culture of violence, lies, and unaccountability. He also says this is the beginning of the character assassination narrative against D.A. Rollins that the white supremacists are well known for. Anthony Ellison says corporate tax cuts were permanent, and he also says, how about your police chief? He has been critical.
He has been critical?
Yeah.
The comments are spot on, but you know, it's not. People say, what are we going to do to ensure that, you know, our rights are protected? Because see, if you're waiting for other folks who have a different take on how you should be treated, I mean, that's the big thing in this campaign, right? On the Democratic side is reparations and talking about the fact that clearly this country has not changed in the way that people think. When you have someone who's at 38% of the population of this country with this racist and intentional racism that he is promoting out there, and people can get behind that, that should be troubling for any decent person. I'm not talking about somebody just having an opinion, but actually the most powerful person in the country, not just the country, probably the world, that is saying that certain people are not welcome in this country. You know, and he's going to do everything he can to stop them from coming to this country.
And people are saying, you know, that we oppose racism in this country. People are saying that we oppose.
Larry, imagine the long-term effect behind his actions. You know, how our youth is going to be betrayed in the future. How our youth is going to look at wanting to serve this country.
Well, not just that, Jeff. The courts, right? The federal courts, the Supreme Court. These are huge issues, right? And these folks are going to be there long after Donald Trump is gone, and his mindset will be embellished and embedded in the courts long after he's gone. You know, elections have consequences.
Right.
Well, in addition to that, that is how internally we're going to respond to or have to deal with Donald Trump's legacy. But Donald Trump is also going to leave a severe legacy on how we're dealing with our relationships around the world. On the world stage, he has shifted America's role on the world stage as it relates to dealing with our NATO allies. You know, our economic allies that we have, many of them will be among NATO. He has shifted that. So there's going to be work done to refocus, to realign America's relationship in the world. You know, and that is a what I call a surreptitious danger that we're not even focusing on, because we're so focused on the things that he's doing internally to our nation as opposed to our positioning on the world stage.
Well, the world looks at America now as a joke that we could elect someone with this such low morals. I mean, like to sit here and hear him taking shots at people about their behavior towards women. You're talking about the ultimate of hypocrisy, right? I mean, someone was him mocking Joe Biden regarding, women saying they felt uncomfortable, not sexually harassed, uncomfortable about his approach with them. And then he puts this creepy thing out, video out with Joe Biden. And then right behind that, some of the news folks play the video of him talking about the women on the bus and what he can do to them.
I mean, it's talk about, it's like I'm saying to myself, there's no boundary to this guy's hypocrisy, in my opinion. There's no boundaries at all, because one can easily argue that Joe Biden's position is a generational issue. You think about it, it's a generational issue. And I have, I had that conversation with my loved ones. It's like, is this really an innocuous or very harmless, behavior here? I mean, the guy he's not doing anything to the extent that our president talked about on the bus, because that is sexual harassment and that's sexual assault. You know what I mean? But anyway, I think we're coming up to break.
We're going to be coming up to break.
All right, I'll be listening.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Larry. So that is the thing that when you think about it is, where are we as a nation? Our democratic principles are being trampled on, been completely stomped on, and our position in the world is no longer like it was with the power, with the reverence, with the respect that we had, 10 years ago. Never mind, 20 years ago. And what really gets me is that people come on these various news outlets and they try to protect and excuse this guy. It's like, come on, this is a no-brainer. You know what he's doing. Right. But yet they try to come up with and some of them are very ingenious with it, very good at it. It was like, these guys are good, coming up with rationales, try to explain away his behavior. And instead of just saying, this is wrong. This is not what America is about. America doesn't behave this way. People look to America as the leader of the world, not as opposed to an oppressor of the world.
That was old America, because at this point right now, I'm beginning to think that this is the new America, and I'm very unhappy with it. I'm at my wit's end.
I think we should remember that
when you see 22 months and all that money spent, and you get 4 pages of nonsense. 4 pages of nonsense.
That's another hit.
And
don't even go with, don't take me there, girl.
4 pages of nonsense and a poll that says he will be reelected. I don't know if I could take that again.
Well, what planet? Who are they polling?
Well, that's another thing altogether.
Who are the sample size?
That's a good discussion on the other half of the other part of the hour.
Let us get prepared for break, and we'll return.
All right.
Who are they talking to? I mean, they're definitely not